On February 12th and 13th, your AFA International officers convened the Seniority Merger Integration Committee at our Washington, D.C. office in order to begin the process for integrating the pre-merger Continental, Continental Micronesia, and United System seniority lists, according to our AFA-CWA Constitution and Bylaws Policy Manual Section 10. The policy ensures that, and I quote, "The seniority date of a flight attendant shall be the date from which each flight attendant accrues competitive bidding seniority as a flight attendant as of the date of the merger agreement between the affected airlines," end quote. This seniority integration process is commonly referred to as date of hire seniority integration, and we will describe more about what to expect during this process later in the video. There are only 3 major airlines remaining in U.S. aviation. Delta completed its operational integration in the spring of 2012, and American Airlines is moving quickly to do the same. The airlines are making billions of dollars, but United is lagging behind its competitors, and management can no longer afford to run separate operations if it's going to succeed. These conditions provide incentive for management to complete contract negotiations. The July 23, 2015 target date for reaching a tentative agreement is a real and necessary goal. And United's future success depends upon a flight attendant contract that you can ratify. It makes good business sense to provide fair compensation, benefits, and quality of life for the people on the front lines of the airline. In both the Delta and American mergers, AFA's merger policy set the standard for flight attendant seniority integration. At Delta, management knew that flight attendants would have one more big reason to vote for a union unless management provided the same seniority security that AFA's policy would provide. The Northwest and Delta lists were integrated according to AFA's date of hire principle. AFA had the cleanest seniority list in the industry at U.S. Airways, with over 60 years of seniority integrations based on the principle of date of hire. Further, our union had gained seniority protections under the law. In the American merger, APFA agreed to a seniority integration that mirrors AFA's constitutional merger policy, protecting both pre-merger U.S. Airways and American flight attendants. Our merger policy was put in place nearly 25 years ago, following mergers where the issue of seniority did nothing more than create division. This division plays out at a time when it is especially critical for flight attendants to stand together in unity. In mergers, our focus needs to be on making our seniority count, with the best possible job security, pay, benefits, work rules, and quality of life at the merged airline. Our policy provides a defined, transparent procedure for seniority integration. Everyone gets what they brought to the merger. And management doesn't get the integrated list until the new contract is ratified by the combined flight attendant group. The fate of our seniority should never hinge on a corporate decision that is outside of our control. With a detailed process in black and white, we can focus our attention on our unity and getting a single contract that reflects our valuable contributions to the airline. AFA's seniority policy is also reinforced by U.S. law. After the TWA flight attendants were stapled to the bottom of the seniority list at American, our union went to work advocating for a change to the law that would provide for a fair and equitable seniority integration for all airline workers affected by a merger. Again, fair and equitable is a process, not an outcome. While this provides a minimum protection, it does not ensure a fair outcome. When seniority is left up to an arbitrator, all arguments and positions made by the parties involved will eventually be decided by someone who has no claim or stake in the end result. It is rare that anyone believes justice is done through a neutral party decision on seniority. That is why we ensured that the law would also protect our union's seniority integration policy. What McCaskill-Bond also states is, and I'll quote from the law itself, quote, "If the same collective bargaining agent represents the combining crafts or classes at each of the covered air carriers, that collective bargaining agent's internal policies regarding integration, if any, will not be affected by and will supersede the requirements of this section," end quote. Therefore, the law affirms that our AFA seniority integration policy is the process that must be used when AFA is the representative of flight attendants at the merged airline. When our United merger was completed on paper, the issue of representation was still to be decided. Therefore, the AFA International President at the time put the seniority integration process on hold. Now that we are expecting to complete negotiations by this summer, it is the time to start the process detailed in our AFA policy manual. 2 merger representatives from each of the pre-merger airlines, as selected by the United, Continental, and Continental Micronesia MECs, form the Seniority Merger Integration Committee. These representatives are responsible for, first, compiling the necessary employment data for all flight attendants from their respective airlines, and then working as a full committee to compile the single flight attendant seniority list. The committee's scope is narrow in terms of compiling the list. They are charged with resolving only 2 items. First, determining any necessary credit for initial training days in an effort to provide consistent treatment for seniority credit during initial flight attendant training. And second, a consistent methodology for integrating same-day seniority dates. In every case, quote, the relative position of the flight attendants on their respective seniority lists shall be maintained, and the merger representatives shall not have the authority to alter the relative position of any flight attendant to others on her or his own list for any reason, end quote. A special note here, there are CMI and United flight attendants who have crossed over to the Continental operation and maintain their contractual right to their original position on the CMI and United seniority lists respectively. These flight attendants retain their relative seniority position on the original CMI or United seniority lists during the individual list verification process. On April 15th, a letter will be sent to each flight attendant's home address on file with United Airlines. The letter will contain the flight attendant seniority date on record, training dates, and other necessary data for integration. Flight attendants will have a 45-day period up to June 1st to respond to the committee in writing and document any protest of the information. Seniority lists will also be posted for review on protected portions of AFA websites. If the information is correct, there is no action required by the flight attendant. All challenges will be resolved after June 1st in Washington, D.C., with participation of the full Seniority Merger Integration Committee. The entire process is facilitated and overseen by the AFA International Office, and we expect the work to be completed by the end of June. The list will remain at AFA's International Office until there is a single, ratified flight attendant contract, at which time the seniority list will be provided to United Management for implementation. If there was any doubt about your seniority, put it out of your head and reject any efforts to divide us. We are all flight attendants. We are all aviation's first responders. We all seek to participate in our airline's success. We have so much more in common than that which could ever divide us. Together, we can achieve a contract that lifts the standards for our careers. Together, we are stronger. Together, we're better. Thank you, and fly safe.